This is the WWE Podcast Week in Review for this Sunday, July 10th, 2022, and we have a lot to talk about, as always, every single Sunday night here on the flagship show, because we are going to dive into everything that happened this week in WWE with SmackDown and Monday Night Raw, and as we start to really go full tilt into SummerSlam season, which is crazily just 3 weeks away until the event itself. There's so much to dive into, and including, will Vince McMahon actually step down given the findings? We're going to talk about that and so much more right after this.
If you want thought-provoking discussions, great guests, and plenty of laughs, go ahead and check out the Culture Podcast with Jeff and Ant every Monday morning, wherever you listen to podcasts. It's where hip-hop and life intersect. Also, check out the website, theculture.one, for even more content. The Culture Podcast, inspired by and for the culture.
So in addition to pro wrestling that I need every day, I don't know about you, I need coffee every day, and I need quality coffee. That's why I go with coffeeofvalhalla.com. They get fresh roasted specialty coffee, roasted the day it ships to your door. Again, it's coffeeofvalhalla.com. That's coffee of VALHALLA.com, because the owner is a former service member trying to take care of his battle buddies. He donates 50% of the proceeds to StopSoldierSuicide.org. So order today and use discount code 10OFF, all one word, for a 10% discount, or you can subscribe and save 15% off of your order. So go get some coffee again at coffeeofvalhalla.com, coffeeofvalhalla.com, guys, and also donate to a great cause and have a great cup of coffee, guys. Coffeeofvalhalla.com.
This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome to the WWE Podcast, everybody. It is Sunday, July 10th, 2022. Hope everybody is enjoying their summer so far. I know it's already going quick. In just 3 weeks, we're not only at SummerSlam, but then we're into August. And those of you who are football fans, there's no better time of the year, right? No better time of the year than football that starts. And I mean, training camp starts, in a few weeks too. So I'm not a huge football database. Let me just say that I'm not the most intelligent or well-spoken guy when it comes to football chatter, but I'm a fan of it, especially from a fantasy perspective. So those of you who have your fantasy teams, think about it. It's coming. It's coming soon, as we all get to stress out every single Sunday night. But welcome, everybody, to the WWE Podcast, and we have a lot to get to tonight because there's a lot going on with Vince McMahon, and I'll start there. Look, Vince McMahon, it's being reported. I'll go with there's a lot of sources here that are reporting this, but I'll go with the Wall Street Journal, who actually were the first ones to break the story of the $3 million hush money, which got multiplied by 4 to $12 million in hush money to 4 women. So each of them, well, they didn't each get $3 million, but let's dive into this. So let's see here. Well, hold on. Wall Street Journal is giving me a damn paywall. All right, let's skip Wall Street Journal because they're making me pay, and I'm not paying to see free news. So let's see here. As the Wall Street Journal reported earlier this week, WWE Chairman and CEO Vince McMahon paid over $12 million in hush money to 4 women over the past 16 years. Because of those reports, Netflix reportedly pulled out of a documentary that was in development, and according to Denise Salcedo, I think that's how I pronounce it, the documentary was, quote, deep in post-production. She also reported that millions had already been spent on the project. That sucks. Man, that sucks because, despite what you think of Vince on a personal level, and if these allegations are true, which it seems to be, from a professional wrestling standpoint, if you just look at it through the lens of pro wrestling and what he was able to accomplish bringing pro wrestling to a worldwide scale, that sucks if a documentary was scrapped. You also wonder too, as a quick side note, with Vince McMahon, if he steps aside or whatever, if he's not able to get the mud off his face from this, does that affect like matches? Meaning, like, does The Rock not want to be associated with WWE because of what Vince did, and therefore we don't get a Rock Roman match because of this? Things like that. I don't know, something to chew on. So let's continue on. I won't read the whole article. This isn't story time, but Stephanie McMahon, daughter of Vince, if you didn't know that already, is currently serving as interim CEO and chairwoman. She was appointed that position in June after Vince stepped down, and Stephanie has yet to comment on the latest news, and she hasn't tweeted since July 4th. Previously, she had commented on the documentary saying that the date of the release was still to be determined. It is scheduled to be released in 2022. Okay, so she's talking about the documentary, but that, of course, isn't happening now. McMahon is not the only higher-up facing allegations of sexual misconduct. They're also investigating John Laurinaitis for similar inappropriate relationships with same staffers as Vince. So apparently they kind of took whoever and paid them off or got sexual favors from them and decided to pay them off to be quiet. Now, the most fascinating part of this, of course, does this news really shock anybody that Vince has done this? No, it's just a matter of, will it ever come out? And it has. And I'm sure there's more that we don't know, we'll never know as well. You know what? This is not uncommon, right? Sadly, this is not uncommon. You could probably predict that this is happening at some level in every major organization in the entire United States. I mean, I'm talking like big, mega organizations, and it's sad. Well, this is probably happening, and it's not like there's an allegation of rape, but it is not a good look on WWE or Vince or especially with Linda McMahon in this whole thing. What does she think? She can't be too happy. Does she divorce Vince? Does Vince step aside? But with all of that said, the most interesting question to me is, who leaked this stuff, right? Who leaked it? What were their motivations? Simply get Vince out of office and Vince out of power? Figure that they had some dirt on the boss and they have some kind of agenda? This didn't happen by accident. Somebody didn't accidentally hit send to the Wall Street Journal with all the information about a potential cover-up of sexual misconduct by Vince, right? Like, that didn't get accidentally forwarded to the Wall Street Journal that broke earlier, about a month ago or whatever it was. So, you also wonder who and what are the motivations? And do they have more that if Vince doesn't cooperate or step aside, they'll leak more? Does somebody actually have some stuff on Vince that are, and of course this is all speculation, but does somebody have more, blackmail essentially on Vince, and does Vince cave? And there's so much, we are only hearing what the public is supposed to know, and we can only speculate. So I don't want to spend too much time on this because there's a lot of more fun things to talk about in the world of pro wrestling. But I had to talk about this because it was a breaking news story this week with Vince coming out, and you do wonder, is Vince going to appear on Raw or SmackDown again in Double Down Defiance? Did I just have the 3Ds? Double Down Defiance? Yeah. You do wonder. With this being, feeling, the thing is, we all know Vince McMahon to some degree, and he's a guy that will not back down. We know this. Even the public people know this. The public in general know this, because we've seen documentaries. We've heard numerous stories from people about the actual personality of Vince backstage. So we get a bit of a glimpse into the man himself. And the man himself has a big ego, and I understand why. But will that ego be ultimately his downfall as he continues to potentially trot himself out there as some kind of act of defiance? I mean, I would be shocked if he comes out like this week, just to come out and say, "Welcome to Monday Night Raw," and then he goes backstage. You know what? I shouldn't say I'd be shocked, because Vince, when he did what he did a few weeks ago, just to come out I said, he's got to say something shocking. He didn't say anything, which was the most shocking thing, and went to the back for his own ego and his own, I guess his own the well-being of the company, at least in his eyes, to try to make it look like everything's fine. People still love me. All is well, right? So anyway, there's tons to get into this. You could take 100 different angles. Does Vince actually step aside? Does Stephanie take over? Where's Triple H in the pecking order of things now? Does Vince step down but still maintain control from a distance? There is so much that you could dive into. It's really mind-boggling. And until we hear hard, concrete evidence, it makes a good podcast episode if you're going to make that a singular topic. But until we have actual news to report, like we just did here, about what the conclusion is for Vince, what he's going to do with this information, how he reacts, that is the stuff that we can sink our teeth into, and we'll talk more about as the news comes out. But certainly fascinating, and it's a heck of a time in WWE right now. And we're only seeing probably the smallest fraction of what's really going on. All right. Well, outside of that, of course, we can speculate about Vince stepping down and all that when it happens, or talk about it when it actually happens, if it does. But welcome, everybody, to the WWE podcast. If you want the ads and all that stuff removed, you want to just be able to listen, go to patreon.com/WWE podcast. Okay, and if you are on WWE Patreon, you're probably hearing this going, I already got it. Well, thank you very much. Right. So $1 a month gets all of those ads out of the show. There are no ads at all. You just get to hit play, don't have to worry about skip, and all is well. So there's that, and WWEpodcast.com. You can sign up for VIP and go there and get ad-free everything and video and everything else, and Apple Podcasts too. There's an ad-free button on the Apple Podcast app. So cool stuff. Let's move into actual WWE fantasy land. And I always do a heavy focus on SmackDown, and this week is going to be no exception because Roman Reigns returns. And also on the show, there was a planned number one contenders, not a championship contenders, whatever the hell the difference is here, Again, I think championship contenders is simply a way for them to make any match that doesn't have an actual stipulation feel more important than it actually is. It's almost like saying that if the person who wins the match wins the match, because whoever comes out victorious wins. Because if you are facing somebody, especially if they're a champion, or I don't know if they have to be a champion, if it's a championship contenders match, isn't it implied the person that wins is probably going to be in the conversation for a championship opportunity? You can't just give this vague prize. You'll get some kind of opportunity down the road. But anyway, we got a true number one contenders match between Drew and Sheamus. At least that's what was advertised. And I was not happy with the way SmackDown ended at all. From a logical standpoint, and I'll talk about that later. And this is not a show that I'm going to be super negative on, but the ending really pissed me off just because of the way that they presented it and the way it was done and how illogical that whole thing was. So we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. But Roman Reigns, of course, enters SmackDown's realm again as 650 or 660 days as champion, and closing in on that 700th day. But he had Paul Heyman, or he said that life is good, and I work out, and I came here in my private jet and did all this, and Paul Heyman addressed the fans and said that this is a different beast because he's backed into the corner, and that Lesnar is a threat to Reigns' supremacy, but they also don't know who's going to face the champion at Clash at the Castle, Drew or Sheamus. Again, this already predetermines the outcome that Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre is happening. It's happening at Clash at the Castle, and that's it. I really believe Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns, which has been planned for many months, is happening at Clash at the Castle. So, sure, Theory could cash in, and you know what? Here's a quick spoiler. Here's what I think's going to happen. Roman is going to beat Brock. Theory's going to try to cash in. Roman Reigns, or rather, Theory attacks both Lesnar and Reigns. Lesnar retaliates. F5's Theory. Maybe Theory gets back up. Spear. In the middle of that, Theory had cashed in, and then we have Roman Reigns retain after the help of inadvertently an F5. I mean, there's ways to do it. You could also have Theory turn it into an automatic triple threat when things look like they're at his advantage. So there's a lot of things that they could do. Ultimately, it's going to end with Roman Reigns standing tall, them talking about how 2 years ago at this very SummerSlam, they crowned a new Universal Champion, and now 2 years later, we have an undisputed WWE Universal Heavyweight, WWE Intercontinental European Heavyweight Hardcore Champion. That's what they're going to tell us. So that's all I can imagine. The crowd's going to boo. And that's it. And hopefully Brock Lesnar just if he comes back, for the love of God, just move on to something. I don't care if he faces R-Truth for the 24/7 title. I mean, just get him out of the championship picture with Roman. That's all you need to know about how fans are sick of something when the WWE has to just transparently say, hey, don't worry, guys. I know this has been happening a lot over the last 7-8 years, but it's going to be the last time. So hang your hat on that. That's not a great way to sell a match when you have to convince people to try to care by advertising it as, don't worry, at least it's the last time, okay? That's essentially what they're saying here. Oh, God. It's true. But we had Paul Heyman seem nervous. He was shaking visibly in the ring, trying to sell us on the fact Brock could actually beat him. He ain't going to beat him as Brock continues to just be brought back to lose to Roman. So that's it. Moving on here. I mean, of course, we had Theory lurking around the ring. He came out and he was just there to taunt Roman Reigns or play the much feared mind games, the one that everyone does all the time, apparently, according to Byron Saxton. So that's it. In Theory, he cut a quick promo backstage and nothing to really write home about. But Theory was there to just, as I guess the storyline goes, send a message to Roman that, hey, I'm still here. I'm going to, you better watch out. That's all that was. So, all right, you know what? I'm just going to talk about the main event because it's really irking me. It's burning me inside. Now, the main event was billed throughout the entire show that it was a number one contenders match. Winner gets the champion at Clash at the Castle, i.e. Roman Reigns, at Clash at the Castle in September. Or it's in August. I'd have to look at the dates. And how the hell it's not Roman, or Drew, it's just impossible. But this match ended up being Butch versus Drew. Now, I understand the heel tactic of trying to back out of a match because you're making excuses because you don't want to face the baby face. You're cowardly, right? You want to be able to find a way to get out. And Sheamus tried to do that. Sheamus was feigning that he felt sick or something. Was that what it was? Yeah, he was saying that he had COVID, or he thought he might have COVID, and he talked about the testing rules or something. That's the first time COVID's ever been used in the storyline, purposefully, I think. So a debut of COVID onto the scene here. But this was ridiculous. I have nothing against Sheamus versus Drew. It's a tried and true formula. They're actually really good friends in real life. Everyone knows this. Their history of growing up at 19 and wrestling together, growing up together, they're dreaming together, and all that lovely gushy mushy stuff that I can't stand that WWE brings up, but it's true, and it is. And so the problem with this is, though, that Sheamus gave up his spot to Butch. So you don't have the power, as Adam Pearce would very quickly say, to manipulate the match stipulations. All you can do is say the match, I can't compete, the match isn't happening. You can't substitute somebody in and then have the person, your opponent, win that match, beat the person that was substituted in, and they still don't get the victory. It made no, or get the stipulation, what was on the line. In other words, Drew should still be number one contender right now. He should have won it. Now, that wouldn't make sense from Sheamus's perspective. Why would he put the fate of the number one contendership in the hands of Butch? But logically, you can't just step aside and decide, well, I'm not going to compete, but Butch can step in, and we're also taking away the prize of the championship match. That's not how it works. There's no consistency with Adam Pearce coming out, or I thought that he was the only one that made the matches around here, and it had to be official. But yeah, there's no consistency, of course, because it all becomes it's official and it's in the storyline when it's convenient for the storyline. That's all. And with Drew winning here, I'm like, oh, so did he just win the number one contendership? Now we all know he's eventually going to, but that made no sense to me. And number two, why would Drew suddenly decide, or Sheamus suddenly decide he doesn't want to face Drew? Why doesn't Sheamus want to suddenly face Drew? He's faced him like 100 times. All of a sudden, his character has developed a fear or a phobia of Drew. Why? Why would you also not want to take that opportunity and get why would you not want to take that opportunity for a number one contendership and feign that you are sick? What's the benefit to you on that? I mean, really? I don't understand. Okay, so let's just take it at face value, okay? Somehow Sheamus, or just for argument's sake, even though these are just egregious, Sheamus is able to manipulate the match, right? He's able to take himself out and put Butch in and take away the stipulation that the championship match is on the line. Right? The person who wins gets the opportunity. So let's just, for argument's sake, which you could stop right there, but let's just go further and take that all away. Okay, fine. Now you have Sheamus versus, Drew versus Butch, right? Drew wins. Well, how exactly did that benefit Sheamus? Why would you remove yourself in a main event of a show, feign an illness, At what benefit? This was just ridiculous. Now I'll read because since I gave my analysis, I'm not going to be piggybacking on anybody else's. But now that I've given you my thoughts on it, here is another popular website's, I won't name it, their review of this. They said, talk about a deflating ending. The advertised number one contenders match was swapped out for a short squash match. The pyro, oh yeah, thank you. Okay, I'm so glad they brought that up. I didn't read any further. I want to talk about the pyro because I forgot about that monstrosity. So, I guess the idea was for Sheamus to feign an illness so he could take himself out of the opportunity to see Butch lose, to then try to beat down Drew, who Drew just took his sword and did the WrestleMania ending of chopping the top rope. So he sliced the top rope, and somehow beyond that's just silliness that we know Drew is never, ever, 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 ever going to hit anyone with that sword ever, just in case I'm not clear. But we're also supposed to believe that somehow he has absorb the abilities of Kane? I mean, was that the secret all along? That all you have to do is just slice the top rope and the fire comes out of all four posts? Is that the trick that we've been missing? That was ridiculous. Who thought of this? How does that even relate to anything? I guess they just wanted to do something a little different, with no purpose, by the way. Just other than what we saw at WrestleMania, because we saw this at WrestleMania with Drew. I think he sliced the first top two ropes, and now apparently the ropes are a trigger for the gunpowder or whatever to go off. Not gunpowder. It's whatever pyrotechnics they have to create the fire in the ring post. I mean, they just wanted to make it a little different, and it was different, but it was stupid because it made no sense. Now let's continue on with this particular website. The pyro made absolutely no sense. Things were shaping up well with several moving parts to the main event title picture. Reigns, Lesnar, Theory, McIntyre, and Sheamus were all involved, as well as subplots involving Moss and Lashley. Unfortunately, on the only match on Friday's story did not happen. That's a major bummer. It'd be quite forgivable if there was some sort of emotional response to the delay, or if it was exchanged for something of equal value, but that did not happen. The audience was simply stripped of their main event match. Yeah. Now, Drew and Sheamus isn't exactly something we haven't seen before. Of course, we've seen it many, many, many times. But still, that's not something that WWE does often, where they advertise and advertise and advertise, and they don't give you something of equal value, even that very same night, to the people that paid their money to see this. They got a very flat, short, like this website said, just squash main event. Made no sense. The pyro made no sense. I would love to talk to the people, the creative that came up with this main event. This was just completely void of all logic. It was ridiculous. So, absolutely, it's just plain stupid is all it was. So, all right, that's how I feel about that, guys. I hope I didn't. I was a little, I know I'm kind of foggy on how I feel. I need to be more clear, but hopefully you got it. All right, the Viking Raiders, Eric and Ivar, defeated Jinder Mahal and Shanky after they hit Mahal with a double powerbomb. The New Day saved Shanky from a post-match beatdown, but they were again laid out by the Viking Raiders, who I think it's the third week in a row that the Viking Raiders have beaten down the New Day. Fine with me. I actually have no issue. Not, of course, New Day getting beat down is always fun, but seeing Eric and Ivar get a bit of a repackage, I guess it's an evolution. It's not a totally different gimmick. But to me, I have no issues with this. They feel their entrance music has been rejiggered. Their costumes have been redone. I love their makeup. Great stuff. I mean, I have no complaints right now with the Viking Raiders at all. And so, okay. Gunther. Yes, I annoyed some of you by the pronunciation of that. I'll say it again just in case you didn't hear it. Gunther and his associate Ludwig Kaiser refused to have the Ring General defend his Intercontinental Championship in a scheduled open challenge. They described any champion who would fight a mystery opponent as foolish. Shinsuke entered and challenged Kaiser instead. Here's the thing, though. I totally agree that even as a babyface, you look stupid when you allow anyone to challenge for your championship. Why? Why does anyone deserve what you've tried or presumably scratched and clawed for years to get? Well, I want to be a fighting champion. But what about championships having prestige and value? What about that? Are you saying that anyone's qualified at all the time, anytime for a championship? Why? Doesn't that devalue the championship itself? That anyone qualifies for it? So Gunther and Kaiser are exactly right here, and something that I've been arguing for a long time. So they didn't get the open challenge, which is fine with me, but Shinsuke did challenge Ludwig Kaiser. Kaiser loses, and then we get a punishment of 3 really difficult to hear and watch chops from Gunther to Kaiser. And he took it as punishment, almost like lashings. It was rough to watch. But good stuff, though. It shows you the commitment Kaiser has to Gunther, and it also shows you the relationship. I think added depth to Kaiser not just being this man that comes out and is a spokesman for Gunther, but you see the relationship's a little deeper, that he would take physical punishment from Gunther. So there is that there, and I enjoyed the hell out of that. So, all right. Well, let's take a quick break and give the sponsors of today's episode a little bit of love. And then when we come back, we're going to finish out SmackDown and talk a little bit about Monday Night Raw. And, of course, a little bit about SummerSlam sprinkled throughout the show, too. So everyone stay right here. We will be right back.
If you want thought-provoking discussions, great guests, and plenty of laughs, go ahead and check out the Culture Podcast with Jeff and Ant every Monday morning, wherever you listen to podcasts. It's where hip-hop and life intersect. Also, check out the website, theculture.one, for even more content. The Culture Podcast, inspired by and for the culture.
So in addition to pro wrestling that I need every day, I don't know about you, I need coffee every day, and I need quality coffee. That's why I go with coffeeofvalhalla.com. They get fresh roasted specialty coffee, roasted the day it ships to your door. Again, it's coffeeofvalhalla.com. That's coffee of VALHALLA.com, because the owner is a former service member trying to take care of his battle buddies. He donates 50% of the proceeds to StopSoldierSuicide.org. So order today and use discount code 10OFF, all one word, for a 10% discount, or you can subscribe and save 15% off of your order. So go get some coffee again at coffeeofvalhalla.com, coffeeofvalhalla.com, guys. And also donate to a great cause and have a great cup of coffee, guys. Coffeeofvalhalla.com.
Welcome back to the WWE Podcast. Let's get back to more great wrestling audio.
Okay, let's go on to the newly crowned SmackDown Women's Champion, Liv Morgan, who celebrated her win over Ronda. She was interrupted by Natalya and Ronda Rousey, but it ended in a match between Ronda and Natalya, where it was it was an okay match. Ronda was doing a nice job of selling her knee injury, quote unquote, and we got a victory by Rousey over Natalya in a ankle lock. So Natalya taps clean to Rousey. And Liv Morgan, I think, has probably got a limited number of days as champion. I hate to say that, but I have a sneaking suspicion Liv is going to lose that championship at SummerSlam. I'm very concerned. If you're a Liv Morgan fan, enjoy every second she has that championship. And of course, Rousey is just insufferable on the mic. And if she could stop doing her little stupid side smile after every sentence that she whispers into the mic, because she can't put her mouth on the mic, like she has to step. Listen, guys, this is how Ronda Rousey gets a promo. Hope you're ready. And Natalya, I'm going to show you what a real badass woman. And it's like, Ronda, put your mouth up to the microphone and put some bass in your voice. So much for the baddest woman on the planet. Yeah, hold on. I'm going to Google Ronda Rousey's final MMA fight. I want to know the last time she had a UFC fight. When is the last time she had UFC? Where is it? Well, she had the Holly Holm thing that happened on November 15th, 2015. But Ronda Rousey's final fight, guys, that was on December 30th, 2016, the main event of UFC 207, where Ronda lost the fight in round one in a TKO, technical knockout. So, hey, I mean, where exactly, and does she need to recertify? Is there some kind of board or agency that she needs to recertify this title that she's claimed as the baddest woman on the planet? I'm fairly sure that the current UFC Women's Champion, or Amanda Nunes, who beat Ronda Rousey in round one, could probably qualify for that. Yet we are just taking it at face value that Ronda is forever and ever, because she has just taken that marketing slogan as the baddest woman on the planet. It's a title that is in perpetuity. It's just forever, no matter who or what anyone else is doing in the mixed martial arts world, karate, wrestling, doesn't matter in the amateur world. It doesn't matter. Ronda is just forever the baddest woman on the planet, guys, but she has not had a UFC match since 2016, 6 years ago, and she lost that. The year before, of course, as I mentioned, she faced Holly Holm, where she just went into hiding after that, and she lost to her in 2015. So when's the last time she won an MMA fight? Wait, when was that? 8 years ago? And again, we're supposed to just believe that she's the baddest. I'm sorry. I have a problem with this. I have a big problem with this. So, all right. I'm not a Ronda Rousey fan, as you could probably tell. Okay, Max Dupree. I'm not going to even try to make my voice higher than that. If you think I am, you are mistaken. He unveils the 2022 tennis collection, who is modeled by Marseille and Masur, I think. Marseille, I love it. I know some of you may think that I think this is garbage. And on some level, it is. But is it kind of a guilty pleasure of mine? I don't know. I'm interested to see what the payoff is of this. What is this? Does WWE know? We don't know. I mean, Mace went from, lighting the ring on fire and vandalizing WWE headquarters to coming out in tennis shorts and showing off his thighs and shaving his legs. That's the evolution of Mace, i.e. Marseille. Mansoor, or Marseille, whatever they want to call him, he has certainly gone from hometown hero every time they go to Saudi Arabia to now in super tight tennis shorts and showing us his shots in tennis and his strikes, whatever you call them. I'm not a tennis guy, but you know what? I don't hate this. I find it entertaining, particularly when the commentators try to oversell it, but they know they're overselling it, and especially Corey Graves, who gets behind it and he tries to sell it. It's kind of funny. This to me though is if it was back in even the Ruthless Aggression era when Stone Cold was sheriff of Monday Night Raw or co-GM or whatever, this is a perfect segment for the glass to shatter, is it not? And just have him come out and just hit everyone with a stunner and pour beer all over Max Dupree and his maximum male models. I like Max Dupree. Why? I feel like some of you are probably like, what? First of all, the guy doesn't have any care, or he's not doing anything. This is an entertainment segment. Yeah, it is. It's weird that I don't hate it, isn't it? I don't know. Something ain't right with me right now, but I don't hate this. Do I love it? No. But I've certainly seen worse on WWE. And maybe it's because the bar is set so low that I don't hate it, but I don't. And I'm interested to see what the payoff is. I don't know how there can be a payoff to something like this. Does he just continuously recruit the male, like people that don't have anything going on in their careers, and tell them to go shave their legs and, put some tight shorts on? Maybe. I mean, but either way, Max Dupree, I find it as an entertaining character. I mean, obviously heel. So I don't know. I'm on board. I got to say. So, all right. Lacey Evans comes out, doesn't get the reaction she wanted, immediately turns heel. She came out 3 times, didn't get the reaction she wanted. And yeah, at least to the level that she said she wanted it to be. And we get the heel turn that it's been rumored for how many weeks now, that she actually is going to be a heel, despite all those emotional, heart-pouring segments she gave us a couple of months ago about her dad, and my dad wasn't here, there, and here, and I wasn't there for graduation, and no one was there for me. Wah. I sound such like a D-bag, don't I? But it's just like, now, I think they used it too much. I don't think this was not supposed to be the original plan for Lacey Evans. I don't believe Lacey Evans was supposed to get to this point. I don't think the fans took to the heartwarming, outpouring of her real life as maybe they had hoped. So they just decided to say, "Oh, screw it, let's turn you heel then." But anyway, she ends up knocking out Aaliyah with the woman's right, and running down the crowd, calling us disgusting, and that, I pour my heart out to you, and I'm going to get the damn respect I deserve. You guys better cheer me, all that stuff. So I didn't hate it. I didn't hate this. I'm glad she's not into the whole NXT gimmick she was in with the outfit, though. It's just like Lacey Evans being Lacey Evans, and I had no problem with this. I didn't. The Usos then defeat Los Lotharios via pinfall after hitting the 1D on Carrillo. Kind of a quick match. Nothing really to write home about. The Usos just continue to win. And then they maintain that they defeated the Street Profits despite the interview they had, and they said that they blame the referee for the error. And Kayla Braxton let Jimmy and Jay in on a rumor that a special guest referee is being discussed for their rematch against Ford and Angelo Dawkins at SummerSlam. I don't know who that could be. I'm sure somebody out there is smarter than me. But yeah, I mean, so we kind of had a feeling that they'd go back to Jay and Jimmy versus the Street Profits at SummerSlam. It's a smart, safe move that I totally get and I agree with. And we had, Morgan versus Natalya is booked for next week, and Natalya will receive a SmackDown Women's Championship opportunity if she beats the champion in the non-title match. So that was really SmackDown in a nutshell, everybody. And next week also too, we get Madcap Moss versus Theory. So there is that too, and maybe Sheamus versus Drew, except for real this time. Boy, what a disaster. What an absolute disaster that was. Just ridiculous. So, let's see. I'll run down Raw really quick here. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. We got, the opening segment with Bobby and Theory. We got the Mysterios versus Judgment Day, which came back. And the Mysterios did end up they did the Eddie Guerrero finish, which was fun. I enjoyed that. The Miz versus AJ Styles, where AJ Styles won. We got, Natalya and Carmela versus Liv and Bianca Belair. We got just Ezekiel versus Seth Rollins because, catch up. Yep. But a good match. I remember that actually being a match that I enjoyed way more than I thought I would with Ezekiel and Seth. But and then Lashley and the Street Profits versus Theory and Alpha Academy. Good match. Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits win. And then Gunther versus R-Truth. I don't know why Gunther's on SmackDown, or rather Raw. No one knows. And then in the main event that happens every single week, just kind of a plug-and-play match here with Asuka versus Becky Lynch in the main event. And in a street fight, though, or a no disqualification, where Asuka was put through a table from the second rope via the manhandle slam from Becky, and Becky picks up the victory. So a solid Monday Night Raw. I don't think it was the worst show ever, but I am just so put off by the 4th of July antics, food fights, and hot dog eating contests. Don't forget, guys, there was a hot dog eating contest. Akira Tozawa wins. Make sure you mark it down, guys. Never forget. You'll never forget the day that you heard Akira Tozawa won the hot dog eating contest on Raw. I mean, you'll remember the moment, the day, what you were doing. That's how important that is. So, well, everybody, thank you for joining me here on the WWE Podcast and the Week in Review. Tomorrow is Anthony DeMarco and myself covering the current state of WWE. Tuesday's Week in Review. Wednesday is the mailbag. And also, I am airing myself, I'm not airing myself. I'm creating a show every single Saturday night at 8 o'clock on the DuPont Now Network, DuPontNow.com. And I do an hour show covering the week events of WWE and looking ahead to SummerSlam. So that's what I'm doing. It aired a couple hours ago here. So get yourself signed up there and go give us a watch if you want to see me do video. I do it once a week for an hour now. So pretty cool deal. So thank you everybody for listening here. As always, take care, and I'll talk to you next time.
If you want thought-provoking discussions, great guests, and plenty of laughs, go ahead and check out the Culture Podcast with Jeff and Ant every Monday morning, wherever you listen to podcasts. It's where hip-hop and life intersect. Also, check out the website, theculture.one, for even more content. The Culture Podcast, inspired by and for the culture.
So in addition to pro wrestling that I need every day, I don't know about you, I need coffee every day, and I need quality coffee. That's why I go with coffeeofvalhalla.com. They get fresh roasted specialty coffee, roasted the day it ships to your door. Again, it's coffeeofvalhalla.com. That's coffee of VALHALLA.com, because the owner is a former service member trying to take care of his battle buddies. He donates 50% of the proceeds to StopSoldierSuicide.org. So order today and use discount code 10OFF, all one word, for a 10% discount, or you can subscribe and save 15% off of your order. So go get some coffee again at coffeeofvalhalla.com, coffeeofvalhalla.com, guys. And also donate to a great cause and have a great cup of coffee, guys. Coffeeofvalhalla.com.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.